These clips will mess with your head. You'll feel it hours after the video ends. That slow, crawling fear that something's watching you. Because these aren't movie ghosts. These are real encounters, caught on camera by people who swear what they saw was human, until it wasn't. They don't scream, they don't chase. They just stand there, behind you, silent, still. And when you finally notice, it's already too late. Like the first real-life encounter we have. 30. The Haunting of the Abandoned House. A YouTuber known as Fourth Wall decided to explore a deserted house in Japan that locals claim is cursed. People say they've seen shadowy figures and heard strange noises echoing through its empty halls. Ignoring the warnings, he set up cameras around the house, hoping to capture something paranormal. As the night went on, one of his cameras caught something eerie. A golden statue suddenly toppled over without warning. When he entered the room, a door on the left was closed, but moments later, it stood slightly open. It felt like someone or something was watching him. While climbing the stairs, a shadowy figure appeared on his camera, motionless and silent. He didn't notice it, but what followed was pure chaos. The doors slammed shut by themselves, trapping him inside. He struggled to escape, finally breaking free, only to see a dark figure standing behind the door, watching him as he ran. Was it real or just a clever setup? No one knows for sure. 29. The Haunting of Paige. A couple living in an old house had been facing strange and dangerous experiences for weeks. On the advice of a paranormal expert, they started recording everything that happened inside their home. One night, while they were talking in their bedroom, something terrifying occurred. The door suddenly slammed shut on its own. The boyfriend rushed to open it, only to find Paige lifted into the air by an unseen force. She was dragged up the wall and hung motionless from the ceiling, before crashing into the bathtub. The man tried to help her, but Paige's face looked blank, her eyes empty, as if she wasn't herself anymore. The camera then dropped, showing the boyfriend being thrown down by something invisible. No one knows what happened to Paige after that night or if she ever recovered. The footage remains one of the most disturbing pieces of paranormal evidence online. 28. The Floating Girl. Two girls were spending an ordinary evening at home when one of them noticed something strange standing in the doorway. She looked closer and froze. It was the upper half of a young girl, floating in midair. Her clothes looked old, like something from another century. She seemed curious, quietly watching what the two girls were doing. The second girl, unaware of what was happening, shouted at something on the TV. That sudden noise startled the ghost. The figure quickly pulled back, disappearing from sight. The girl with the camera turned to follow and caught a glimpse of it again. This time, at the top of the stairs, staring down at them. Panic took over. Both girls screamed and ran out of the house. From the street, they looked back for one last glance. Through the top window, they saw the ghost girl walking across the room. Within a blink, she appeared on the bottom floor. That was enough. The girls ran without looking back. 27. The House That Answered Back. After a long shift, a woman drove home and noticed the lights inside her house flickering on and off. As she got closer, her heart sank. The front door was wide open. Fearing someone had broken in, she stayed outside and called the police. Two officers arrived and stepped in to check the house. Everything seemed normal at first, but then a closet door slammed shut on its own. They kept searching, trying to stay calm, when another door creaked open slowly, as if inviting them inside. One of the officers' body cameras began glitching for no reason. Some say that's what happens when something unseen is nearby. Just when he thought the search was over, the sound of heavy footsteps came rushing toward him from behind. He spun around, gun drawn, but the hallway was empty. Many believe it was a spirit trying to send a warning. Others think it was something darker. Whatever it was, no one could explain it. 26. The cabin that wouldn't stay quiet. A woman bought a neglected cabin in Oregon at a surprisingly low price, despite locals warning her about its dark reputation. It had once belonged to a teacher who died under strange circumstances, and ever since, people claim to hear crying from inside or see a shadow moving on the balcony. Ignoring the stories, she began renovating the place with her family. But soon, odd things started happening. Her toddler often spoke to someone invisible, and their dog kept staring into corners as if tracking something unseen. One evening, while reviewing footage, she froze. A dark figure seemed to glide behind an upstairs door, one that barely opened. Too scared to investigate, she avoided that floor. When she returned later to film again, she pointed out the same door and the eerie silence filling the house. No curtains, no reflections, no tricks of light. Yet something unmistakably moved there. Something that didn't want to be forgotten. 25. The book beneath the floor. When Amelia moved into a 250-year-old Victorian home in the UK, she didn't expect to uncover anything unusual. One afternoon, she found a loose floorboard and decided to check what was beneath. Among the dust and copper pipes lay an old coin from 1904 and an antique book hidden deep below. The book looked like a photo album at first, filled with old portraits. But as she flipped through, the photos turned disturbing. They showed empty rooms that looked exactly like the ones in her house, each picture darker and more unsettling than the last. A shadow appeared in every frame. Soon after finding the book, strange things began to happen. Noises echoed through the halls, objects moved on their own, and one night, the curtain in her bedroom flew open by itself. Her headphones dropped from the wall without reason. Now, Amelia wonders if uncovering that book awakened something that was never meant to be found. 24. The vanishing stranger in the hotel hallway. Aria was staying at a quiet hotel when she decided to record herself walking through a dimly lit hallway. But something about her video instantly felt wrong. Moments after she began filming, she seemed terrified, as if someone was following her. She ran, breathing heavily, and later uploaded the video online. Viewers noticed something chilling. When she turned the camera around, no one was there. A hotel staff member named Tony later shared security footage to explain the incident. He found it strange that the elevator door stayed open while Aria was inside, but closed the moment she stepped out. Soon after, she left the hotel in a hurry, leaving her belongings behind. When Tony checked her room, he discovered a metal unlocking tool on the bathroom floor, something used to open doors without keys. Even more disturbing, when Tony re-watched the security footage, a shadow appeared in the same hallway Aria had run through. No person was nearby to cast it. Since then, Aria has disappeared from social media, leaving behind only her eerie video and a trail of questions. 23. The thing they saw. It started as an ordinary evening. A mother sat with her two daughters at the dining table while they quietly ate dinner. Laughter and small talk filled the room until, all at once, the older daughter stopped mid-bite. Her face went pale, her body stiff. She kept staring into the next room, eyes locked on something unseen. The mother noticed immediately and asked what was wrong, but the girl didn't speak. The younger sister turned around, curious, but saw nothing, just an empty room dimly lit by the glow of a lamp. She giggled nervously, thinking her sister was playing around. Moments later, she looked again. This time, she froze, and her expression changed completely. Her mouth fell open, and her eyes filled with terror. Whatever her sister had seen, she could see it too now. According to the video uploader, Angel Ruiz, both girls claimed they saw something ghostly standing silently in that room. The footage showed nothing, but the horrific scream of the kid is enough to haunt you for the entire day. 22. The spirit that followed Elos home. Elos had gone to visit his father's grave, hoping to feel his presence one last time. But that visit seemed to awaken something else. Since that day, his home has been filled with strange and terrifying happenings. After sharing his experiences online, his viewers advised him to light a blessed candle so that any restless spirits could find peace. He placed the candle on his table and prayed. But soon, he began hearing soft movements. A flower vase slid across the surface on its own. Later that night, as he tried to sleep, he heard a whisper close to his ear. His blanket was suddenly pulled off and thrown to the floor. Panicked, he turned on every light, but saw no one. For 2 nights, everything stayed calm. Then, his apartment's power went out. He heard loud knocks and footsteps echoing from the kitchen. When he looked, a dark figure stood in the shadows. A woman's scream followed, freezing him in place. Since then, Elos says the presence in his home only grows stronger. 21. The church disturbance. One summer night, 2 friends, Steve and Jake, went deep into the woods to explore an old chapel that locals said was haunted. The church walls were covered with strange prayers and warnings, which made them uneasy. Still, curiosity won over fear. The main door was locked, so they sneaked in from the back. Inside, the air felt heavy. The long rows of dusty pews and the faint smell of wood made the place eerily silent. They noticed a piano near the podium before slipping into a small maintenance room to catch their breath. It felt safer there, at least for a moment. Then, a piano began to play. A slow, ghostly tune echoed through the chapel. The 2 froze. When they finally turned their flashlights toward the sound, they saw a dark, hunched figure seated at the piano. They screamed and ran, the music stopping the moment they escaped. Later, the video of their night surfaced on YouTube. It's been there ever since. 20. The voice from the river. On March 6, 2015, Jennifer was driving home along a lonely Utah road with her 18-month-old daughter, Lily, strapped in the back seat. While crossing a bridge, her SUV lost control, flipped over, and plunged into the icy Spanish Fork River. The crash killed Jennifer instantly, but the car seat kept Lily above the freezing water, suspended upside down for nearly 14 hours. The next morning, a fisherman noticed the vehicle and called for help. When rescuers reached the scene, they claimed to hear a woman's voice coming from inside the wreck, pleading for help. Believing someone was still alive, they rushed to turn the SUV over. But once they did, they discovered Jennifer had already died. Only baby Lily was alive, barely breathing and hypothermic. Later, body camera footage revealed no sound of the voice they all swore they'd heard. Jennifer's family believes it was her spirit, calling out one last time to save her daughter. And maybe that's exactly what happened. 19. The woman in the tunnel. Leonardo was exploring an old ruin when his camera captured something truly disturbing. While recording alone, a pale face appeared just above him, watching silently. The sight was so sudden that he thought it was his imagination. But the footage showed it clearly, a face staring straight at him in the dark. Later, his friend Luis decided to enter one of the deepest tunnels nearby. The place was silent, damp, and pitch black. He mentioned it felt like someone was there with him. When he pointed his camera forward, a faint figure appeared, a woman with long black hair standing perfectly still. A few seconds later, the figure faded away, as if swallowed by the dark. Luis checked the footage and froze. The woman was there, just a few feet away. Some say it was the ghost of someone lost in those ruins. Others believe it was just a trick of light. But whatever it was, that night felt far from ordinary. 18. The figures in the asylum. In April 2021, a Brazilian TikTok user named Natalia Valente visited an abandoned asylum with her friends and family. They filmed the exploration in 7 parts, but one particular clip stood out from the rest. While recording through the windows of one locked building, the camera captured something unsettling. Inside, there appeared to be a few pale, human-like figures standing still and staring into the distance. No one in the group noticed anything unusual at the time, and the exploration continued as usual. But later, when Natalia reviewed the footage, those silent figures became the center of attention. Their stillness, their blank stares, it almost seemed like they weren't really there. Many believe the shapes could be the spirits of those who once lived or died within the asylum walls. Real or not, the eerie sight left a lasting chill on everyone who saw the video. 17. The Ghost Child of Mysterio Cemetery. A team from the YouTube channel. Mysterio went to investigate an old cemetery said to be haunted by the spirit of a small child. The night was silent, with only the sound of their footsteps echoing through the graveyard. As they moved deeper into the area, one of them suddenly spotted a dark, childlike figure running across the cemetery. They rushed toward it, but the shadow had already disappeared. Moments later, while standing near the spot where it vanished, they recorded a faint voice that sounded like a child. Their cameras kept rolling as they wandered among the graves. Once again, the same small dark figure appeared, only to vanish before they could get close. It happened several times that night, as if something unseen was playing with them. The final recording showed what looked like a child's shadow moving near a tombstone. Whether it was a real haunting or a clever illusion, no one could say for sure. 16. The Cemetery Chase. Frank, the creator behind the YouTube channel Franco TV, went to explore an old cemetery where locals claimed to have seen ghostly figures and heard strange voices. Armed with his night vision camera, he began recording the silent, fog-covered grounds. Everything looked normal until he noticed a faint white figure moving near a row of statues in the distance. Thinking it might be a person, Frank walked closer to get a better look. But as he focused his camera, the figure appeared to pace back and forth, almost as if it was watching him. Moments later, it suddenly began running toward him. Startled, Frank turned and sprinted back through the uneven path, his camera still recording the chase. He barely made it to his car before speeding away. When he later reviewed the footage, the white figure was still there, moving unnaturally fast before vanishing into the darkness. To this day, Frank has no idea what he captured that night. Was it a spirit, a trick of light, or something far more sinister? 15. The Whisper in the Nursing Home. In July 2025, a woman named Sarah posted a video that quickly spread online. She worked at a quiet nursing home where staff often whispered about strange things happening after dark. One evening, while checking the lower floor, a section rarely visited, Sarah felt an uneasy presence, as if unseen eyes were following her. She pulled out her phone and began recording. The video captured a faint whisper saying, "I see you." The voice sounded close, almost inside the room, though Sarah was completely alone. Less than half a minute later, a small rolling shelf moved across the floor on its own, sliding several feet before stopping abruptly. Sarah froze, then ran out of the hallway. When the video surfaced, it left viewers disturbed. Some dismissed it as air pressure or vibration, but others believed it was genuine evidence of paranormal activity. The nursing home carried an unsettling energy that seemed to linger long after the lights went out. 14. The daycare mirror. In September 2025, a woman shared a strange video recorded at her mother's home daycare. Everything seemed normal until one of the kids suddenly screamed and ran out of the playroom. Moments later, a small playhouse in the corner fell on its own. None of the other children were near it. When the woman reviewed the footage, she noticed something chilling, a pair of hands gripping the doorway just before the child ran out. After posting the video online, viewers pointed out the same eerie detail. The woman later explained that the boy had told her mother he saw a face inside a vanity mirror in that room. Since then, the mirror has been covered with a bedsheet and listed for sale online. But before it could be picked up, things got even stranger. One night, while watching the security camera, the daycare owner's daughter saw the child gate slowly open by itself. Then, as she filmed the covered mirror, the sheet moved slightly, followed by two clear indents that looked like fingers pressing from underneath. Terrified, she locked the door and stopped using the room. The mirror still sits there, covered, waiting for the buyer, or for something else to show itself first. 13. The ghost of DuPont Plaza. In 2019, a former security guard at the Marriott Stellaris condo in Puerto Rico shared a disturbing incident from her night shift. The hotel once stood as the DuPont Plaza, the site of a 1986 fire that killed dozens after 3 employees set it ablaze. Many guests were trapped because the exit doors opened inward, turning the place into one of the island's darkest tragedies. The structure was later rebuilt and renamed, but its past never truly disappeared. One night, while monitoring the halls, the guard's ponytail suddenly jerked back. Her head snapped as if someone had pulled her hair hard. Startled, she turned around, but no one was there. When she checked the CCTV footage, it clearly showed her hair moving, yet the hallway behind her was empty. Some say the incident was a haunting linked to those who died in the DuPont Plaza fire. Others call it a coincidence. Whatever it was, it left a chill that still lingers. 12. The shadow in the hospital. A group of explorers entered an abandoned hospital, their flashlights cutting through the dark halls. One of them, holding the camera, suddenly felt a chill run down his back. It was that strange instinct that tells you someone is right behind you. He turned around quickly, but there was nothing there. The corridor was silent, empty, lifeless. He brushed it off and kept filming, unaware that something else was moving in the shadows. Later, while reviewing the footage, he noticed something unsettling. In one frame, a thin figure appeared, pale and human-like, drifting behind him. He swore he had been the last person in line, and no one from the group had been near that spot. The place had been empty, but the video said otherwise. Was it a leftover spirit from the hospital's dark past, or just a trick of the camera? No one really knows. 11. The shadow in Felix Bull's hospital. Late one night, a group of friends entered the abandoned Felix Bull's hospital in Santiago, Chile. The place had long been shut down and carried a dark reputation. Most people avoided it, but curiosity led them inside. As they explored the empty halls, nothing unusual seemed to happen. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Later, when they reviewed their footage, something strange appeared on screen. In one frame, a faint figure seemed to walk past the group, a shadow shaped like a person. None of them had seen it at the time. Viewers who later saw the clip claimed it looked like a nurse from the 1950s, still wandering the hall she once worked in. Whether it was a spirit or just a trick of light, no one could explain. But since that night, the hospital's eerie reputation only grew darker. 10. The laugh in the dark. A video uploaded by a Portuguese channel called Woodcove has terrified thousands of viewers. It shows a man who wakes up in the middle of the night after hearing the faint sound of a woman laughing. The strange part is, he lives alone. Startled, he grabs a flashlight and scans his dark room. The beam lands on something chilling, a pale hand stretching out from his closet. But when he checks, no one is there. As he inspects the room, a door suddenly slams behind him. He spins around, but the hallway is empty. Moments later, a scream echoes through the house. The man freezes, his breathing shaky. When he dares to peek out, a shadowy face can be seen lurking at the far end of the corridor, watching him. Panicked, he rushes back into his room, and the video cuts off abruptly. Many viewers believe something sinister is haunting him, while others think it's too real to be fake. 30. The hidden giants of South Florida. At a point in the footage, when slowed to 0.25 speed, a huge dark figure appears among the trees. As it ducks, a smaller shape suddenly leaps from its back and lands on a nearby branch. The movement is quick and smooth, almost too fast for the eye to follow. Researchers believe this is real evidence of a living hominid species. They claim that clear footage, massive footprints, and strange hair samples prove that creatures like Bigfoot truly exist. One hair sample, found on a barbed wire fence in South Florida, was transparent, something seen only in polar bears. Yet, there are no polar bears in the swamps. The team suggests these creatures can blend perfectly with their surroundings because of their clear hair, even changing color with light and algae. They move fast, stay hidden, and avoid people completely. Whatever they are, they seem to know we're not ready to see them. 29. The Vancouver Island Sasquatch Encounter. In late summer 2013, a hiker near Port Renfrew on Vancouver Island filmed something strange in the forest. The video, later posted by Gulf Island Rock, shows a tall, dark figure moving quietly among the trees. Its wide shoulders and upright stance made it look nothing like a bear. When the footage went public, opinions exploded online. Some viewers said it was a bear eating leaves, but others noticed something different. The creature appeared to lift its arm and scratch its head, almost like a human. Hunters and locals who knew the area insisted the body shape was too solid and symmetrical to be an animal. Years later, no one has been able to prove what it was. The short clip still fuels debate, with some calling it one of the best Bigfoot sightings ever captured, and others sure it was only an illusion in the dense Vancouver Island woods. 28. The 1973 Yosemite Park Encounter. In 1973, Ranger Thompson filmed something strange in Yosemite National Park. The footage showed a tall figure walking upright through the trees, covered in thick dark brown hair. Thompson later said it stood about 7 to 8 feet tall and moved in a way that looked human but not quite. Its stride was smooth, almost deliberate, unlike any animal he had ever seen. The creature stopped on a ridge when it noticed him. For nearly a minute, both stood still, watching each other. Thompson felt frozen, his instincts telling him to stay calm. He raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. Then, the creature made a few deep, low sounds that almost sounded musical, as if it were trying to communicate. After that brief moment, it turned away and disappeared into the forest, leaving behind only silence and a recording that would puzzle experts for decades. 27. The Bigfoot that never decayed. In 1953, a strange discovery was made deep in the swamps. A young male Bigfoot, unlike anything seen before. The creature was so large that those who found it had to cut it into sections just to remove it. One of its legs was severed above the ankle and preserved separately. Since then, the body has remained frozen for more than 65 years. The preserved figure stands over 6 feet tall, its body covered in thick fur, and its muscles still visible beneath the dried skin. What stands out most are its oddly human-like feet, small in proportion to its size, about a size 9. The discoverer believed this was nature's way of helping younger Bigfoots blend in before they grew larger. Though the specimen's DNA was tested, the results came back corrupted with no known match. Some even suggest these creatures could be biological tools for something beyond human understanding. This frozen body remains one of the strangest mysteries ever kept on ice. 26. The night the Falk monster came. In April 1971, 2 families, the Fords and the Taylors, moved into a small rental home on the edge of Fuq, Arkansas. What began as a simple stay turned into one of the most terrifying encounters ever reported in the area. Late one night, strange noises surrounded their home. Heavy footsteps creaked on the porch, and something brushed against the windows. Scared, they fled to a neighbor's house. 2 days later, the sounds returned. This time, louder, bolder. Don Ford's brother Bobby and his friend found odd 3-toed footprints near a nearby creek. That night, the creature came back, trying to break in. When Bobby went outside to help, it leaped from the shadows and attacked him. He escaped with scratches and shock, later treated at a hospital. Police found torn metal, broken windows, and those same strange 3-toed tracks. The families left the next morning and never returned. The story spread quickly, soon becoming the basis for the 1972 film The Legend of Boggy Creek. To this day, the quiet woods of Fuq still carry whispers of that night, the night the monster came. 25. The Marble Mountain Encounter. In June 2001, Jim Mills and his group went on a backpacking trip through the Marble Mountains in California. Deep in the woods, they found something odd. Piles of leaves and branches arranged carefully, claw marks on trees, and spots on the ground that looked like bedding. It felt like something large had been living there. They began filming the area, scanning the forest and nearby ridges. Then, in the distance, a tall, dark figure appeared. It moved upright, walking smoothly across a ridge far away. The shape was human-like, but its size and stride seemed unnatural. The group was stunned. They didn't know what they had just witnessed, but the camera had captured it all. Later, many would say that Jim Mills had filmed one of the clearest pieces of Bigfoot evidence ever recorded: the mysterious figure from the Marble Mountain encounter. 24. The Yowie encounter that terrified Victoria's Alpine Park. In June 2022, a hiker filmed something chilling in Victoria's Alpine National Park. The video showed a massive dark figure moving deep in the forest. Locals later claimed it was the Yowie, Australia's version of Bigfoot. Soon after, 3 hikers went missing, and authorities shut down the trail. Australia's Aboriginal tribes have told stories of the Yowie for centuries. With over 134 million hectares of forest covering the country, there's enough wilderness for such legends to stay hidden. Before the sighting, hikers had found strange things: a sheep carcass torn apart, scattered bones, and eerie sounds echoing through the trees. Then came a faint whistle and sudden movement from the shadows. When the hiker realized the creature had seen him, fear took over. He dropped his camera and ran for his life. The clip that surfaced later remains one of the most mysterious Yowie sightings ever recorded. 23. Figures in the dark. In a remote part of the Australian bush, a thermal camera captured something strange one silent night. Two figures were seen walking and then running through complete darkness. No flashlights, no visible light, just their heat signatures glowing on the screen. The movement was smooth, confident, and far too calm for people wandering in pitch black. Their shape looked human, but their posture and gait felt different. One appeared slightly hunched, elbows bent, as if clearing the way ahead. Another seemed to turn, scanning the surroundings. Some viewers later claimed a third figure stood motionless to the right, watching the others. The recording sparked debates online. Some believed it was proof of the Yowie, Australia's version of Bigfoot, while others thought it was just people caught in an odd moment. But one thing was clear: whatever those figures were, they didn't act like they belonged to the night. 22. The Bellbird Grove Bigfoot Encounter. In January 2021, researcher Dean Harrison captured one of the most unsettling Bigfoot sightings in Australia. While on an expedition at Bellbird Grove, he used an old FLIR thermal camera and recorded a tall, human-shaped figure moving down a slope late at night. The sound of heavy footsteps could be heard through the dark forest. The figure walked behind a tree, stopped, and appeared to watch Dean twice before disappearing back into the thick bushes. The next day, the team returned to the same spot in daylight. Researcher Buck Buckingham stood at the same location to compare the height. The difference was startling. The creature was nearly 9 feet tall. The image, now part of the Australian Yowie Research Archives, remains one of the most debated pieces of evidence. What makes it eerie is not just its height, but how the creature seemed aware, almost as if it knew it was being watched. 21st. The Harvester's Mysterious Forest Encounter. A harvester recently recorded a strange video that has caught everyone's attention. The footage shows a huge, human-like figure leaping down from a tree at the edge of a quiet forest. The creature lands with surprising speed, moves left across the clearing, then quickly shifts direction and disappears into the thick woods. The entire movement looks too smooth and deliberate to be a trick of light or shadow. What makes this sighting even more unusual is the location. The forest is far from the regions where Bigfoot is usually reported, which has left people wondering what could have drawn it there. The video is spread online, with some calling it the clearest proof yet that the creature exists. Others insist it's just a clever hoax or a misidentified animal. Still, the mystery lingers. Why would something that big, that fast, and that cautious suddenly reveal itself in daylight? 20. The Tree Watcher of San Gabriel Mountains. In 2020, a lone hiker was deep in the San Gabriel Mountains of Southern California. The trail was silent, every crack of a twig echoing through the still air. Feeling something unusual nearby, the hiker began recording. From a high point, the camera captured the rugged mountain range in the distance. Then it zoomed in on a tall evergreen nearby. Halfway up the trunk, something seemed to be staring back. The shape blended with bark and shadow, but had a clear outline: a head, broad shoulders, 2 arms, and what looked like legs. It appeared to be perched about 15 to 20 feet above the ground, perfectly balanced. Southern California isn't known for Bigfoot sightings, but its vast and remote mountains make perfect hiding places. Some researchers say large ape-like creatures have been seen in trees before, powerful enough to climb like humans, maybe even better. But that raises one haunting question. How could something weighing nearly 800 pounds sit in a tree without breaking it? Whatever the camera captured that day, it wasn't just the wind in the branches. 19. the shadow behind the trees. The hunter stood still beside his tree stand as cold autumn air filled the silent woods. Then came a strange sound, uneven, distant, and unfamiliar. He scanned the gray trunks and fallen leaves. At the edge of his vision, something shifted. Behind a tree, half hidden, a dark figure seemed to be watching him. Heart pounding, he lifted his camera and started recording. The shape was tall and broad, moving slowly before fading into the trees. It didn't look like a bear or a person. It felt different. Later, a Reddit user claimed her in-laws had captured a similar figure while hiking along the Georgia coast. Their blurry photo and shaky video showed a shadow slipping away into the forest. The image quickly spread online, sparking debate. Some believed it was Bigfoot. Others dismissed it as a trick of light. The family still doesn't know what they saw. 18. The eerie screams of the Canadian woods. In December 2007, hoax. Scientists dismissed earlier Yeti-like claims as staged, but this new recording reignited old fears. To this day, no one has identified the source of those eerie sounds. 17. The unsettling sounds of Sunchild Reserve. Residents of the Sunchild Reserve in Alberta have been hearing strange and frightening sounds deep in the forest this spring. The noises often begin before dawn, around 3 in the morning, echoing through the dark trees. Some describe it as a bird's call that suddenly turns into a loud, drawn-out scream. Others say it sounds more like an animal growl. Whatever it is, no one has been able to explain it. Older residents remember a similar mystery back in the early 1970s. That time, large barefoot prints were found near the old school. The tracks were massive, far too big for any person on the reserve. Many believed it was proof that something unknown was roaming the woods. The talk of Bigfoot spread quickly, but nothing was ever confirmed. Now, decades later, the fear has returned. The sounds continue to haunt the nights, leaving residents uneasy, wondering what might still be hiding beyond the tree line. 15. The creature by the forgotten river. On July 19, 2025, a man went fishing alone along an abandoned stretch of the Mississippi River. Once a lively recreation spot in the 80s and 90s, it was now nothing more than a ghostly wasteland. Grass grew through cracked pavement, old cabins stood broken, and silence had replaced the laughter of campers. He came here often, hoping to catch catfish in peace. That afternoon, the stillness felt strange. The forest around him seemed to breathe, as if something unseen was watching. Locals often said the woods along the river were alive, but he never believed it until that day. Then came a deep, animalistic sound from across the water. It wasn't a bear, and it wasn't a man. It was something else. The noise echoed through the trees, making his head spin. By the time he turned to look, he realized he wasn't just fishing anymore. He was being watched. 14. The howls beyond the campfire. A family had set up camp deep in the Rocky Mountains, spending the night around a small fire. The children were laughing, the parents chatting softly, and the forest around them was calm and still. But that peace didn't last long. Out of nowhere, a strange howl echoed through the trees. It was long, deep, and haunting. Everyone froze. A few seconds later, another one followed, louder and closer. The woods, once quiet, now seemed alive with movement. Something big was out there. They could hear faint rustling, then a low growl that made their hearts pound. The firelight flickered as if reacting to the unseen presence. The father tried to stay calm, but the fear was written on everyone's face. No one dared to speak as the howls circled their camp, closing in from different directions. In that cold, tense silence, one thing became clear. They were not alone in those mountains that night.
I told you.
Bigfoot caught on a winter trail cam. On December 10th, 2023, a trail camera captured something strange. At first, the footage looked completely normal, showing nothing but quiet, snow-covered woods. Then, out of nowhere, a large figure stepped out from behind the trees. The video glitched for a moment, but the creature's shape was still clear enough to see. It looked tall, broad, and unlike anything familiar. The exact location of the sighting was never revealed, though many believe it happened somewhere in the northern United States. In recent months, that area has seen a rise in Bigfoot reports. Some think it's because of better technology, more trail cameras, security systems, and people watching the woods closely. The brief footage has left viewers guessing if Bigfoot really walks those frozen forests. 12. The dark figure in the woods. A man and his child were spending a peaceful afternoon in the woods, recording their time together on camera. The day felt calm and ordinary until something strange appeared in the background of the footage. Behind them, half hidden among the trees, a tall, dark figure stood still. Its broad shoulders and heavy movements looked eerily similar to the descriptions of Sasquatch that locals had shared for years. The man hadn't noticed anything unusual at the time, but when he reviewed the video later, his heart sank. The figure seemed to move slightly before vanishing into the dense forest. What started as a fun moment between father and child turned into something they could never forget. Since that day, they have avoided those woods, unable to shake off the feeling that something is still out there, watching from the shadows, waiting in the silence of the trees. 11. The super fast yowie, caught on camera. In November 2016, an Australian man captured what he believed was a yowie sprinting through the forest. The footage showed a dark figure rushing from behind a tree in the background, moving so fast that it was barely visible unless slowed down or watched in high definition. The same man had earlier recorded another clip showing a similar fast-moving shape, which he thought was a young yowie running past his tree camera. When the video was uploaded online, viewers started examining every frame closely. Some noticed multiple figures moving at the same time, while others spotted a gray orb floating near the trees. A few thought it might have been a kangaroo or an emu, but many insisted it looked too tall and too quick to be an animal. The mysterious speed, the shadow-like movement, and the eerie silence around the forest made people wonder if something truly unknown was hiding out there. 10. The tree cam that heard a yowie. A strange audio clip from a tree-mounted camera in Australia stirred up online debate. The recording, uploaded years ago, seemed to capture rhythmic clicks echoing through the bush. Some claimed it was a yowie, the Australian version of Bigfoot, using tongue clicks for echolocation, a technique used by certain blind individuals to sense their surroundings. The sound featured a series of sharp claps, followed by what some listeners interpreted as a faint voice saying, "Yowie." Experienced researchers insisted the pattern was real, suggesting these creatures might communicate through subtle clicks and knocks, often mistaken for breaking branches. Skeptics remained unsure, arguing that it could have been an animal, shifting rocks, or even audio distortion. But those who listened with headphones swore they heard something that didn't sound human, something that seemed to answer back from deep within the forest. What do you think it was? 9. The unseen watcher in the Minnesota woods. Alicia S. sent a strange photo to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization. The picture had been taken by her friend's daughter in central Minnesota. She was out photographing deer one quiet afternoon and thought she'd just captured a few peaceful moments in nature. But 3 days later, while scrolling through the images, something unusual caught their eye. In one of the frames, behind a deer, stood a tall, dark figure watching from the tree line. It wasn't clear what it was, but it didn't look human either. The discovery left them unsettled. Soon after, their German Shepherd started acting strangely. The dog growled at empty spaces and barked deep into the woods late at night. Alicia, a lifelong Minnesota resident, knew about the area's long history of Bigfoot sightings. Now she's not so sure what to believe. Was it really just a shadow, or did the camera catch something no one was supposed to see? 8. The mysterious figure on the mountain. It was a clear winter afternoon, and the Johnson family was out enjoying a perfect day of sledding. The kids were laughing, snow was flying, and Uncle Dave stood nearby with his camera, capturing every happy moment. Everything seemed normal until he reviewed the footage later. At the very top of the mountain, something unusual appeared in the frame. A tall, dark figure moving oddly against the snow. It wasn't close, but its size and movement looked unnatural, almost eerie. Dave paused the video, rewound it, and watched again. The figure was still there, shifting slowly, then disappearing behind the ridge. No one else had noticed anything strange that day, but the recording left Dave uneasy. If it were a person, why were they up there alone in such harsh weather? And if not, then what exactly did he capture on camera? Even now, he still doesn't have an answer. 7. The hairy giant in the woods. Mike and Dave went camping deep in the woods for a quiet weekend. It was supposed to be a simple trip, some hiking, some filming, and a bit of fresh air. While Dave was recording the scenery, something unusual caught their eyes. At first, they thought it was just a shadow or maybe a bear moving between the trees. But as it stepped into clearer view, their hearts froze. It was massive, towering, and completely covered in thick, dark hair. The creature walked upright, almost human-like, but heavier and slower. It didn't seem to notice them at first. For a few moments, they just stood there, too shocked to move. Then Mike, acting on instinct, fired a shot into the air. The echo rolled through the forest, and in a flash, the creature bolted into the trees and vanished. The two stood speechless, still trembling. Whatever that was, it didn't belong there. 6. The San Bernardino sighting. In 2018, deep in the San Bernardino Mountains, a woman claimed she came face to face with something strange just 70 meters away. She was out with her 2 daughters when she noticed a tall, dark figure standing near a tree ahead of them. At first, she thought it was just a shadow, or maybe part of the tree trunk. The light was dim and the woods were quiet. But then, the figure's head moved slightly. That one motion shattered her doubt. It wasn't a shadow. It was something alive. Her daughters, who were about 20 feet behind, froze as well. One of them raised a phone and filmed toward the tree while their mother stood still, staring. Moments later, fear took over, and they left the area in a hurry. To this day, she believes what she saw wasn't human, and some wonder if it was the same creature others had seen nearby. 5. The 3 Shadows of Grand Caverns. In 1895, an explorer named Orange entered the Grand Caverns with a homemade box camera. He wanted to capture long exposure photographs deep inside the cave, where light barely existed. While working in the darkness, he suddenly heard faint movement nearby. Startled, he triggered his flash and, for a split second, thought he saw 3 figures standing just ahead of him. Terrified, he ran out of the cave, leaving his camera behind. A few days later, he returned with friends to retrieve it. When the film was finally developed, it showed a blurry image of 3 shadowy human-like shapes near the entrance. The photograph vanished for decades before resurfacing again, stirring arguments among historians and paranormal enthusiasts. Some believe it's real proof of something unknown. Others think it was nothing more than a clever hoax born in the age of early photography. 4. Mysterious figure spotted above Yellowstone waterfall sparks. A recent video from Yellowstone National Park has stirred curiosity online after viewers noticed something strange near a waterfall. The footage, filmed in late September by a visitor exploring the outskirts of the park in Montana, was meant to capture the beauty of the scene. But when slowed down, a dark figure appears at the top of the right waterfall, almost crawling forward. The video was later shared with Squatch Watchers, a YouTube group known for investigating Bigfoot sightings. At first, it looked like a trick of the light, but the shadowy shape seems to grow darker and more defined as the clip plays. Some viewers claim it has a faint grayish face, while others argue it's just part of the rocks. The town where the video was filmed is already known for its Bigfoot legends, adding more mystery to the clip. The footage has reignited old debates online. 3. The mysterious figure in the woods. A strange photo posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, quickly caught the attention of Bigfoot enthusiasts and researchers. In the image, Dallas Gilbert and his friend were exploring a wooded area in search of the legendary creature when they accidentally captured something unsettling. Deep among the trees stood a tall, dark figure, broad-shouldered and motionless. It matched the typical description of Bigfoot seen in countless reports over the years. As soon as the image spread online, debates exploded. Some claimed it was just a shadow, a trick of light filtering through the trees. But others were certain this could finally be the proof people had been waiting for. Unfortunately, Dallas Gilbert passed away on December 9, 2016. Many believe that if he were still alive, a proper investigation might have revealed more evidence about what was truly captured in that photo. To this day, the mystery of that figure remains unsolved. Do you have any better explanation? 2. The strange figure in the Kentucky woods. The video first surfaced years ago, but it drew real attention after being re-uploaded to YouTube on December 31st, 2013. Unlike most Bigfoot clips, this one wasn't filmed in motion. It was a series of still photos taken early one morning in the deep woods of Kentucky. Around 8 a.m., one frame showed something odd. When the image was zoomed in and slowed down, a dark shape seemed to peek out from behind the brush for just a few seconds before slipping away. The branches in front of it moved slightly, as if something had pushed through them. By adjusting the brightness and contrast, the figure's outline became clearer. It looked like a head covered in thick dark fur, matching the classic image of Bigfoot. The footage sparked debate online. Some viewers called it undeniable proof, while others claimed it was simply an owl, mistaking its large eyes for something else. The mystery was never solved. 1. The pancake video mystery. In 2005, a motion-activated security camera on a quiet property in Crittenden, Kentucky, recorded something unusual. A small, human-like figure with a large head walked into the frame. It moved straight toward a picnic table where a stack of pancakes sat. The figure paused for a moment, reached out, grabbed the pancakes, and quickly ran away into the darkness. Matt Moneymaker, known from the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, later claimed he filmed the footage himself while doing field work in the area. He also said he collected possible DNA samples from the site. The video soon became known as the pancake video. Viewers are still divided. Some believe the figure was a juvenile Bigfoot, drawn by the scent of food. Others dismiss it as a hoax or a person in disguise. The clip is brief, grainy and hard to analyze. But its eerie simplicity, just a small creature stealing pancakes, keeps it one of Bigfoot research's strangest and most debated recordings. And for more mysterious sightings, watch this next video.